welcome back to our channel, where we explore the deepest, most intricate shadows of Genoa City. Today is a day that requires us to take a collective breath, to really brace ourselves as we delve into a storyline that has completely shattered the boundaries of anything we've seen before. Let's unravel this heartbreaking nightmare together. It's honestly overwhelming to even process what's happening right now in that subterranean nightmare in Las Vegas. You sit back, you try to wrap your head around the sheer, unadulterated scale of Matt Clark's hatred, and it leaves you completely speechless. I mean, we always knew Matt was a monster, right? A ghost from the past who never truly went away, a lingering shadow over the Newman family. But this calculated, agonizing slow burn of revenge, it feels fundamentally different. It feels so devastatingly final, you can almost feel the cold, suffocating dampness of that basement just by thinking about it. The way the shadows must cling to the rusted walls, the way the heavy silence is only broken by the ragged, desperate breathing of broken men. It's a literal nightmare brought to life, and you can't help but feel this heavy, sinking dread in your chest knowing what he has just done. Just picture the scene before the real horror even begins. Adam Newman, the eternal outcast, the man who always thought he could outsmart everyone, reduced to a trembling, broken shell on the cold concrete floor. Her betrayal is so raw, so deeply visceral. You watch her wield that stun gun, and you realize hell truly hath no fury like a woman scorned and manipulated, and Nick, poor, exhausted Nick. He's chained right there, forced to watch his own brother be systematically tortured. It makes you think about all those years of bitter rivalry between them, all the corporate backstabbing, the fights over Victor's approval, and now, in the face of pure, distilled evil. None of that matters. It's just two brothers, bleeding, desperate, realizing that their only remaining bond is this shared, inescapable agony. And then the atmosphere in the room completely shifts. You can almost hear the heavy, rusted hinges of that basement door grinding in the darkness. The sound of footsteps echoing down the concrete stairs, slow, deliberate, heavy with a sickening, malicious intent. It's Matt Clark. But the terrifying part isn't just Matt himself, it's the suffocating anticipation. He's already broken them physically. He's already shattered Adam's ego and destroyed Nick's hope with that fake kidnapping of Faith, so what more could he possibly do? You imagine the scene, and your heart just starts to race because a monster like Matt doesn't just walk back into a torture chamber without a profound, devastating purpose. He's bringing the final act of his twisted, decades-long play. When the harsh light finally hits the figure is being dragged into the room, it's a literal gut punch. It's one of those moments where you actually stop breathing for a second, your mind violently rejecting what your eyes are seeing. Sharon and Noah. Just saying their names in this horrific context feels wrong. It feels like a profound violation of everything sacred. Matt Clark hasn't just brought hostages, he's dragged the very soul of Nick Newman into that dungeon. Seeing Sharon in chains, it brings back a flood of the darkest, most painful memories in the history of the show. You can't look at her terrified face without remembering the unimaginable trauma she endured at Matt's hands all those years ago, the assault, the terror. The way Matt systematically tried to destroy her young life, and now, here she is again, trapped in his inescapable web. It's sickening, it's just profoundly, deeply sickening. And Noah, who has always tried so hard to find his own path, to step out of the massive, complicated shadow cast by the Newman legacy. To see him there, battered, confused, but with that unmistakable, defiant Newman fire burning in his eyes, it absolutely breaks your heart. You think about how much Nick has sacrificed, how hard he has fought to keep his children safe from the darkness of his world, from the ruthless enemies of his father. And yet, the darkness always, inevitably finds them. Matt Clark knows exactly what he's doing. He didn't just want to kill Nick. Death is too easy. Death is a release. Matt wants to shatter Nick's mind into a million irreparable pieces, and bringing Sharon and Noah into this hellscape is the ultimate, weaponized cruelty. The visual, a sheer, overwhelming visual of the four of them in that room together. Nick, Adam, Sharon, Noah. For people who have loved each other, hated each other, betrayed and forgiven each other over decades, now bound together by cold, unforgiving steel. It's a horrific, twisted family reunion. You look at Nick's face when he fully realizes who has just been thrown onto the floor in front of him. The last remaining color completely drains from his face. The physical exhaustion, the agonizing pain from his own captivity, it all vanishes in an instant, replaced by a terror so deep, so primal, that it radiates through the screen. He thought the fake kidnapping of Faith was the absolute worst of it. He thought he had hit rock bottom. But Matt just found a trapdoor in the floor of hell and pushed Nick right through it. You really have to pause and look at Matt Clark in this specific moment. The pure, unadulterated ecstasy shining on his face, it's genuinely chilling to the bone. There's no humanity left in him, if there ever was any to begin with. He's looking at this tragic tableau of suffering, the Newman family broken, bleeding, and chained at his feet, and he's drinking it in like the finest wine. It makes you wonder what actually goes through the mind of someone so entirely consumed by vengeance. Does he feel justified? Does he actually, truly believe this balances the cosmic scales? The way he smiles, it's a terrifying smile that promises absolutely no mercy, no negotiation, no dawn. He has spent years, maybe decades, dreaming of this exact, specific configuration of pain. And now, he is the undisputed, absolute master of their fate. And right beside him is Riza. It's fascinating, in a deeply morbid, unsettling way, to see these two operate together. Riza's pain is fresh. It's born from Adam's recent, cruel manipulations, his false promises of love and partnership. Matt's pain is ancient, a festering, rotting wound from a bygone era. But here, in this damp, suffocating basement, their hatred has merged into a perfect, terrifying symphony of destruction. You watch Riza look at the Newmans, and you realize she feels absolutely no pity for Sharon or Noah. Her empathy has been completely, totally burned away by Adam's betrayal. She looks at this family as a monolith of arrogance, a dynasty that uses people, ruins them, and throws them away. In her mind, and in Matt's, they are delivering righteous, cosmic justice. It's a terrifying delusion, but to them, it's the absolute, unshakable truth. The tension in that room is so thick, so heavy, you could cut it with a knife. You can feel the desperate, unspoken communication flying between the four captives. Nick locking eyes with Sharon, 1,000 complex words passing between them in a single, agonizing second. "I'm so sorry. I love you. We will somehow survive this." But the cold, heavy reality of those chains completely mocks their silent promises. Noah, you can see the youthful, desperate defiance warring with genuine, paralyzing terror. He's looking at his father, the invincible Nick Newman, the man who could always fix everything, chained and utterly helpless. For a son, seeing your hero brought so incredibly low, it's a complete shattering of your worldview. You can almost feel Noah's mind racing, desperately trying to find a solution, a way out, a weapon, anything to save his family. And that's exactly when Noah snaps. It's such a deeply human, understandable reaction, isn't it? The sheer, biological inability to just sit there and accept this horrific fate. The adrenaline spikes, the primal, overriding need to protect your mother, to save your father. It completely overrides all logic and self-preservation. You watch Noah suddenly strain against those heavy chains, the rusted metal biting viciously into his wrists, the harsh, grating sound of iron dragging on concrete echoing sharply off the walls. He's yelling, he's fighting with every single ounce of strength he possesses. It's a beautiful, tragic, heartbreaking display of raw courage. You desperately want to cheer for him. You want him to somehow miraculously break free and turn the tables on these monsters, but deep down, in the pit of your stomach, you know this is exactly what Matt Clark wants. He feeds on their futile struggle. The way Matt watches Noah struggle, it's exactly like a sadistic predator watching a trapped animal exhaust itself in a snare. He doesn't rush. He doesn't panic. He doesn't even raise his voice. He just slowly, deliberately raises that stun gun. The exact same weapon Riza used to bring Adam to his knees in agonizing pain. You hold your breath, you know exactly what's coming, but you find you can't look away. The anticipation is absolute torture. You want to reach through the screen, grab the weapon, and stop time. You want Victor Newman to kick down that heavy steel door right in that exact millisecond, but no body is coming. The reality crashes down on you. Victor is miles and miles away, completely drowning in the chaos of Diane's manipulations and Nikki's legal nightmare. They are completely, utterly, desperately alone. And then the crackle of electricity. It's a harsh, ugly, violent sound that slices right through the damp, heavy air of the basement. The bright blue arc of the stun gun connecting directly with Noah's body. It's incredibly brutal to witness. You see the immediate, violent, uncontrollable convulsion of Noah's muscles. The sudden, shocking loss of all that beautiful, defiant energy. It's not just a physical blow. It's a deeply calculated psychological strike designed to break the spirit of every single person in that room. Watching Noah collapse heavily to the cold floor, motionless, the life and fight seemingly drained entirely out of him, it's a visual that will haunt the viewers for a long, long time. It's the exact moment the last tiny sliver of hope is violently, mercilessly snuffed out. The reaction, oh God, the reaction. Sharon's scream, it's not just a scream. It's a sound violently torn from the very depths of a mother's soul. It's raw, it's guttural, it's filled with a lifetime of accumulated pain, and the absolute, paralyzing terror of losing her child right in front of her eyes. You hear that scream, and it bypasses your ears entirely and goes straight to your heart, gripping it like a vice. It's the sound of a woman who has endured far too much, who is being cruelly forced to relive her absolute worst traumas while watching her innocent son pay the ultimate price for a toxic feud he didn't even start. It's devastating. You feel tears prickling at the corners of your eyes because the sheer injustice of it all is so incredibly overwhelming, and Nick's reaction is something else entirely. It's the terrifying death of a man, Sandy. You see him lunge forward with explosive force, the thick chain snapping taut, nearly dislocating his shoulders from their sockets. He's roaring, a primal, animalistic sound of absolute, unadulterated, world-ending despair. He's watching the woman he has loved for decades, the mother of his children, crying out in sheer agony, and his brave son lying unresponsive on the cold, dirty floor, and he can do nothing. Absolutely, fundamentally nothing. The helplessness, it's a crushing physical weight pressing down on his chest, suffocating him. Matt Clark has finally done it. He hasn't killed Nick Newman, but he has completely, thoroughly destroyed him. He has taken Nick's entire world and crushed it into fine dust right in front of his eyes. Even Adam, who has been through literal hell and back, who has done terrible, unspeakable things himself, even he looks entirely horrified. The shared, inescapable trauma has forged this bizarre, unbreakable bond between the estranged brothers in this dark basement. Adam is watching his nephew get brutally struck down, watching his brother completely lose his mind, and you can see the profound realization dawning on him. This isn't a corporate game. This isn't a fight for a CEO chair. This is total annihilation. The petty grievances, the endless fights over Newman Enterprises, they seem so incredibly stupid, hollow, and meaningless now. In the face of Matt's pure, sadistic cruelty, the Newman brothers are finally, truly united, but it feels like it might be entirely too late. Matt simply stands there, the stun gun still crackling softly and menacingly in his hand, soaking in the absolute despair radiating from the floor. He commands the room like a dark, vengeful god. And then, he speaks. His voice is calm, almost casual, almost conversational, which makes it infinitely more terrifying than if he were screaming. He doesn't yell. He doesn't rant about his past. He just lays out the cold, hard, inescapable reality of their situation. He tells them, with a sickeningly sweet smile, that this damp, miserable hole in the ground is going to be their permanent tomb. That they will rot here, forgotten, starving, and broken, while the world moves on without them. It's a level of psychological torture that is almost worse than the physical pain. He's stripping away their future, their identities, their very humanity, piece by agonizing piece. But then Matt drops the ultimate, world-shattering bombshell. The condition, the one, impossible caveat to their survival. He looks directly at Nick, his eyes burning with a manic, unholy intensity, and delivers his final ultimatum. They will all die here, slowly and painfully, unless Victor Newman burns his own empire to the ground. Unless Victor, the great, powerful, untouchable patriarch, systematically destroys everything he has built with his own two hands. It's a staggering, breathless demand. It's not about a cash ransom. It's not about a transfer of funds. It's about total, absolute, public humiliation and the complete eradication of a legacy. Matt wants to erase the very name Newman from the face of the earth. You really have to stop and think about the sheer, breathtaking audacity of this plan. Matt Clark knows exactly what Newman Enterprises means to Victor. It's not just a company, it's his life's work, his core identity, his towering monument to the world. Matt is deliberately forcing Victor into a corner where he must choose between his legendary legacy and the actual lives of his children and grandchild. It's the ultimate, horrific, impossible choice. And the cruelest, most agonizing part is how will Victor even know? Matt has isolated them so perfectly, so completely. With Victor currently entirely consumed by Diane Jenkins's masterclass in manipulation, desperately trying to save Nikki from prison, and watching Jack Abbott crumble, Victor's powerful eyes are turned completely in the wrong direction. It makes you feel this incredible, suffocating sense of tragic irony. While Nick, Adam, Sharon, and Noah are facing literal, agonizing death in a hidden Las Vegas basement, the rest of their powerful family in Genoa City is fighting a phantom war. Nikki is battling entirely false charges, completely unaware that her beloved son and grandson are in heavy chains. Victor is marshaling his vast corporate forces against legal threats and unseen espionage, entirely blind to the horrifying fact that his bloodline is on the absolute verge of extinction. Matt Clark didn't just plan a kidnapping, he brilliantly capitalized on the perfect, chaotic storm in Genoa City. It's a masterstroke of evil timing that leaves you completely breathless. And what about the others? You think about Fate, who was the original, terrifying bait for this entire trap. Where is she? Is she actually safe somewhere, completely oblivious, or is she just another hidden piece on Matt's twisted, sadistic chessboard? Nick has to be wondering that, torturing himself with the thought, even as he watches Noah lying so still on the floor. The psychological burden placed on Nick in this moment is astronomical. He's carrying the crushing weight of Sharon's resurfaced trauma, Noah's physical pain, Adam's brutal torture, and the agonizing, unknown fate of his youngest daughter. It's a genuine medical miracle his heart hasn't simply given out from the sheer, unadulterated stress of it all. You look at him, straining pointlessly against those heavy chains, and you wonder how much more a human being can possibly take before their mind just snaps completely and forever. And let's not forget Reese's deeply unsettling role in this final, apocalyptic declaration. She stands right by Matt's side, a silent, willing enforcer of this insane demand. She initially just wanted to hurt Adam, to make him feel the sharp, biting sting of betrayal and powerlessness. But now, she's part of something so much bigger, so much darker, so much more destructive. She's actively complicit in the potential, agonizing destruction of an entire family unit. You have to wonder if, somewhere deep down, beneath the thick layers of her righteous, burning anger, she realizes the sheer magnitude of the monster she has allied herself with. Or maybe she just doesn't care anymore. Maybe Adam's cruel manipulation broke her moral compass so thoroughly, so completely, that she's perfectly willing to watch the entire world burn down just to stay warm by the fire. The logistics of Matt's demand are completely mind-boggling when you really think about it. How does one single man force the legendary Victor Newman to dismantle a massive, global conglomerate? What kind of proof will Matt demand? Will he force a broken Nick to record a pleading video message? Will he send a bloody piece of Noah's clothing to the ranch? The dark uncertainty is exactly what makes it so utterly terrifying. Matt holds every single card in the deck. He is the judge, the jury, and the executioner in this damp, subterranean courtroom. And he is in absolutely no rush. He has all the time in the world to sit back, watch them suffer, and watch them slowly, agonizingly lose hope as the days tick by and Victor inevitably fails to meet his impossible, uncommunicated demands. You sit there, processing all of this heavy, dark information, and you realize that the Young and the Restless has rarely, if ever, gone to a place quite this dark, quite this profoundly hopeless. It's a storyline that pushes every single boundary of the show. It violently tests the resilience of characters we've known, loved, and watched for decades. Sharon, who has painstakingly rebuilt her shattered life so many times, now violently dragged back into her darkest, most inescapable nightmare. Noah, the relatively innocent casualty of a generational, toxic war. Adam, finally finding a sense of true brotherhood only in the face of mutual, guaranteed destruction. And Nick, the fiercely protective father, the strong, capable son, rendered utterly, tragically impotent by the relentless ghost of his past. As the scene slowly, painfully fades out, leaving us with a haunting, unforgettable image of Noah motionless on the cold floor, Sharon weeping uncontrollably, Nick screaming until his voice gives out, and Matt smiling that sick, victorious smile that leaves a heavy, suffocating weight on your chest. You simply can't stop thinking about what happens in the next hour, the next day. Will Noah wake up? Will Sharon find some hidden, miraculous strength to survive this monster again? Will Victor somehow, miraculously, sense the profound danger his family is in? The questions swirl endlessly in your mind, but the only answer right now is the cold, echoing, terrifying silence of that Las Vegas basement. It's a masterpiece of suspense and tragedy, and it leaves us all dreading, yet desperately, urgently needing, to see what happens next. I just keep coming back to the chains. It's such a visceral, powerful symbol. The Newman family has always been bound by invisible chains, duty, legacy, immense expectation, constant betrayal. But to see them reduced to wearing literal, rusted iron shackles, it's a stark, horrifying visual representation of exactly how far they have fallen from grace. Matt Clark has violently stripped them of their immense wealth, their corporate power, their global influence. In that damp basement, $1 billion bank account means absolutely nothing. A powerful, their last name means absolutely nothing. They are just fragile flesh and blood, completely vulnerable to the sadistic whims of a madman armed with a stun gun and a lifetime of festering grievances. It's the ultimate, terrifying leveling of the playing field, and it is genuinely horrifying to behold. And you have to deeply wonder about the inevitable ripple effects. If Victor does somehow find out, what will he actually do? Victor Newman famously does not negotiate with terrorists. He utterly destroys them. But how do you destroy a ghost who has your entire, beloved family locked in a hidden vault? If Victor hesitates for even a second, Noah dies. If Victor attacks blindly with his security forces, Sharon dies. The psychological warfare Matt is waging is absolutely brilliant in its sheer, unadulterated cruelty. He has perfectly trapped the great Victor Newman in a horrific paradox where literally any action could lead to the immediate, violent death of his loved ones. It's a checkmate scenario that has been decades in the making, and we are witnessing the agonizing, bloody final moves. The emotional toll of this storyline takes on the dedicated viewer. It's very real. You invest years, sometimes decades, into these complex characters. You watch them grow up, you watch them fail miserably, you watch them fall in love. To see them subjected to this extreme level of sadism, it's genuinely, physically hard to watch. But it's also completely impossible to look away. It's a massive testament to the sheer power of the narrative. The writers have woven this incredibly intricate web, pulling dark threads from decades ago Matt's horrific assault on Sharon, the eternal, toxic Newman family drama, Adam's constant, desperate need for validation leading to his cruel manipulation of reason, and tied them all into this one, inescapable, suffocating knot in a dark room in Las Vegas. Let's think about Malcolm and Nate for a second, just to grasp the full scope of the chaos. While this unimaginable horror is unfolding in Vegas, Nate is completely alone in a sterile hospital room, desperately, frantically trying to keep Malcolm alive after that violent, unexpected attack. The contrast is jarring, yet so deeply, inextricably connected by the dark undercurrent of Newman chaos. Simmons finding that secret will is the dangerous catalyst for another massive war, a corporate war that Victor doesn't even know he's fighting yet. It's as if the universe itself has conspired to brutally attack the Newman Empire from every single conceivable angle at the exact same moment. Physical attacks, legal framing by Diane, corporate espionage, and now this absolute, literal slaughter of their family unit in Vegas. It's a beautifully coordinated symphony of pure destruction, and you can't help but feel a profound, inescapable sense of doom. And then there's Jack Abbott, broken, completely humiliated, desperately seeking comfort in Nikki's arms. Jack, who has spent his entire adult life trying to best Victor Newman, now completely, utterly destroyed by the very woman he thought he loved. Diane Jenkins played him like a cheap fiddle, secretly buying his massive debt, stealing his legacy out from under him. It makes you realize just how incredibly vulnerable all these so-called titans of industry really are. Jack lost his entire empire to a broken heart and blind, foolish trust. Victor is about to lose his massive empire to a madman with a stun gun and a grudge. The parallels are fascinating and deeply, profoundly depressing. It's a stark, terrifying reminder that absolute power is merely an illusion. The very moment you care about something, whether it's a manipulative woman like Diane or a beautiful family like Nick, Sharon, and Noah, you hand your enemies the perfect, sharpened weapon to completely destroy you. I keep vividly picturing the physical space of that basement. The biting cold, the dampness seeping slowly into their bones. The metallic smell of rust, sweat, and pure, unfiltered fear. It's a sensory deprivation chamber perfectly designed to amplify every single ounce of pain. When Matt viciously struck Noah, the bright flash of the stun gun must have illuminated the dark room in a harsh, strobe-like burst, casting long, terrifying, distorted shadows against the cracked concrete walls. In that split second of blinding light, Nick saw the total, absolute collapse of his ability to protect his family. That specific visual is permanently burned into my brain. It's the kind of intense, unforgettable scene that defines an entire era of a soap opera. The Vegas basement will undoubtedly go down in Young and the Restless history as one of the darkest, most pivotal, most terrifying locations ever conceived by the writers. You also have to deeply consider the long-term psychological aftermath, assuming any of them actually miraculously survive this ordeal. How does Noah ever truly recover from this? He's a young man who has already seen far too much darkness in his life, but this is foundational, soul-crushing trauma. Being physically tortured in front of your helpless, screaming parents, it fundamentally changes a person forever. Will he become hardened and cold? Will he become vengeful and twisted, much like Matt himself? And Sharon, her mind is a beautiful, but fragile ecosystem that has been painstakingly, carefully rebuilt through years of intense therapy and love. Matt deliberately plunging her back into this specific, highly targeted terror, it could fracture her sanity completely beyond repair. The damage being done in that room right now isn't just physical, it's deeply generational. It's a toxic, black poison being injected directly into the very heart of the Newman bloodline. And so, we are left in this agonizing, breathless state of suspension. The pieces are all set on the board, and Matt Clark has just violently flipped the entire table over. The impossible demand has been made, Victor's massive empire in exchange for his family's lives. It's the ultimate, terrifying cliffhanger, the kind that makes you literally lose sleep, turning the horrific scenarios over and over in your mind in the dark. Will Victor find out in time? Will Adam somehow find a way to use Reese's lingering, hidden doubts? Will Nick miraculously find a superhuman reserve of strength to shatter those iron chains? We don't know. We just don't know. All we can do is sit in the dark with them, feeling the heavy weight of the chains, listening to the fading echoes of a mother's scream, and desperately waiting for the dawn if it ever truly comes. As we wait for the next episode, the silence left behind is absolutely deafening. You just keep replaying that one horrific moment, the harsh sound of the stun gun, Noah falling heavily to the floor, Sharon's soul-tearing scream. It echoes endlessly in your mind. It's a stark, terrifying reminder that in Genoa City, the dark past is never truly buried. It just waits patiently in the dark, gathering its strength, sharpening its rusty knives, waiting for the absolute perfect moment to strike. And Matt Clark has struck with a level of vengeance that threatens to consume absolutely everything in its path. We can only hope, pray, and agonizingly wait to see if the Newman family can somehow, against all impossible odds, find a tiny spark of light in this all-consuming, terrifying darkness.